Good afternoon, collectors, and welcome to Leighton's Loft. You can find us here every Wednesday on Facebook, Leighton's Loft Facebook page, as well as our Vintage Breaks page, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for joining us, everybody. How are you today, Lou?
I'm doing very well, very well. Just back in the swing of things.
Yep, we're swinging here, trying to, keep everything moving.
Yep.
Ready for the new place.
So, like, moving in general is such a huge traumatic event. I can't imagine what it's like moving that particular business.
Well, I tell you, one of the keys is I try not to think about
it.
Yeah. Because thinking about it gives me agita. Agita makes you have, an upset stomach or stress.
Yep.
Really, who needs that?
Plus, you get a bunch of guys there and girls. Just, go pack the trucks. I'll see you at the other place.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that, but they try to clamor me down and hammer me down and get me like, what can we move? What can we get going? But the trick really is, and I've explained it. A guy I was hanging out with this morning, playing some tennis. That it's really because we're moving two businesses. Vintage Breaks will be operational from day one. Like once we shut it off here, they'll be ready to go in the new spot. Right. However, for just collect, because we're building out, a retail environment as well as offices, it's a little bit different. But, we're not opening the retail store thinking like, wow, this is going to be the answer to all of our prayers. It's just going to be like a business, part of a new model that we're going to be, having. And if it opens up a month later or a few weeks later, that's okay. We really just want to make sure that our retail store is open for when the national is kind of like in full swing at the end of July, so that we can invite people who are flying into Newark, to come to our, our new offices. I keep calling it an office, but really a store, and check it out. I had lunch with a buddy there yesterday in the area, and I feel like I'm telling everyone, right? It's like when you're the new student in school.
Yeah.
You're happy to like tell people your story. So, it's fun because it's a pretty decent sized space and it's fairly close to downtown. So I figured, word of mouth is free and try to get the word out there on what's going on with us,
So you're finding stuff in the corners as you're packing stuff and all that stuff? Are you finding stuff you didn't remember that you had?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if you can tell by my face, like some of it I'm happy about.
Yep.
Some of it I'm just simply not proud of. Like, why did I just not sell that? God knows when. But it is allowing us to kind of reset. We're trying to go to the new office with, a lot less clutter, a lot more efficiency. We've grown, both of our businesses have grown. So, like any business, whether it be you're in baseball cards or you're simply in widgets, the more efficient you can operate, the better experience you can offer to your customers and just produce a better product.
And that's every move, right? You can try to whittle things down. You try to be more efficient. Why did I keep that thing? Why is that still around here? That type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we did rent an offsite storage facility, from our new place so that we don't fill it up, completely with stuff that, maybe we don't need right away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the plan.
Yep.
But we're excited, working with a buddy of mine who's a mural artist about putting up, a nice baseball mural. I'm thinking like Babe Ruth and Jackie, but, I'm not 100% sold on it. He's got to take a look at the space that he has to work with.
Well, Mickey's got to be on there, right?
Well, I'd like to have like a Mount Rushmore. That would be kind of fun.
That would be great.
Once again, I'm not the artist.
Yep.
So I don't know what he's going to tell me. Excuse me for 1 second. Hey, Matt, do you know what's up here? It just seems like it's like acting very strangely on the side. I don't know if there's a way to.
I'm on Facebook. It seems totally good.
Okay, so this is
it may just be the monitor or whatever.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
So what would be on your Mount Rushmore? You brought up the question.
Oh, sure. So for baseball, I mean, I already know my first two. It's definitely Babe Ruth and Jackie. Mm-hmm. And not that they're equal in terms of caliber of play, but that's not necessarily what it is, right?
Yes.
Who do you think is the most influential, the most important? So first two, I'm definitely going with Ruth and Jackie. Of course, the third, your gut tells you to go Mantle, but I'd like to take a step back and think, just because we've already now ignored the pitcher position moving into the third pick. I'm not saying that you have to have a pitcher, but it seems to me that if we're going to have four players, right, for baseball, one of them should be a pitcher, Lou. I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on my first two? And then what are your thoughts on the third pick?
Oh, that's interesting. When you brought up the pitcher, I was trying to think who the pitcher would be. If there were going to be one pitcher, who would the pitcher be? I mean, even because we have different things.
I can throw out there like 3 or 4 names. I'm not saying that they're right, but this is
Right.
like, I'll go chronological, okay? Cy Young and Cy Young greater than Christy Mathewson and Walter Johnson. And I'm not suggesting that he was better. It's just that the award's named after him.
Right.
So you can say whatever you want, right? But my son's 7. So when he ultimately is, involved heavily, God willing, in Little League, and they're talking about the Cy Young Award, right? Like, they're not talking about the Walter Johnson Award. They're not talking about the Christy Mathewson Award. And so those guys couldn't have been so much better than Cy Young, because if they were, I believe they would have named the award after them.
Probably. Yep.
So now
But it's
moving
so
away,
detached, though. We don't have any connection to Cy Young other than.
well, we do with the award, and growing up being a baseball nerd and a statistician, as far as like remembering the stats, thinking about the unbreakable baseball records, his might be one of the very few that are out there with 514 wins.
Oh yeah, I mean, no one's going to win. No one's going to break that total.
Yeah. So once again, are we tied to him? Did we see him? No. Is his legend still out there? I mean, it has to be. Every year they still name a Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion there. But then moving on, like past that generation or that time period, my mind immediately goes to Sandy Koufax.
Koufax, sure.
Well, you could say Satchel Paige, but Satchel Paige had the misfortune of pitching in the Negro Leagues and the Major Leagues.
Right.
So really just didn't have the credit. Hey, what's up, Richard? Welcome.
Hey, Richard, welcome. Yeah.
What's up, Tom? So this is making for a very fun discussion, Lou, as we're seeing other people chime in. So now, once again, we're just focusing on pitchers for a minute. We're going to get back to Nick's comments in a second. So then further moving along with pitchers, I would potentially throw in Nolan Ryan, even though I don't think he's one of the best. I just think he's very well known, and obviously with the strikeouts and pitching multiple decades, so on and so forth. And then really from there, like me personally, as much as I loved, let's say, watching Clemens and Maddox, and the 80s and 90s pitchers and Pedro, like I'm not putting them against Sandy Koufax. I'm just not going to do that. So ultimately, let's just say that those are the few pitchers that we would even discuss. Can you now omit the likes of, well, Ruth is a pitcher technically, yes.
Tyler's right, yeah.
Yeah. But can we omit the likes of Ty Cobb? Can we omit the likes of Mickey Mantle? Honus Wagner, Jimmy Fox. So Richard's saying you have to have a pitcher. I don't know that you have to, but I would argue that it'd be hard to say you shouldn't.
There isn't a Ruth of pitching, though. There
isn't. No, there really isn't. There's just dominant pitchers. So let's just say, for argument's sake, Lou, keep this easy for everybody. There is no pitcher.
Yep.
Who are you going with number 3 after Ruth and Jackie? And once again, we're not saying Ruth and Jackie were number 1 and 2 best of all time. That's not what we're saying. Right. I'm laying the foundation that those are the first 2 for the Mount Rushmore.
I gotta say, I'm obligated to say Ted, and it's not because I'm a Red Sox guy. It's just
one of the greatest hitters ever lived.
Kind of demands it, doesn't it?
So here's my question: if you say Ted, and I'm not arguing against Matt, my argument would be if you include Ted Williams, you can't omit Ty Cobb.
Yeah,
I mean that because they didn't play the same position, but they were both amazing hitters, different eras. Obviously, a lot more people, well, I'd say a lot more, but some more people saw Ted Williams play that are still alive today than Ty Cobb, as virtually no one is alive that saw Ty Cobb play.
Justin's got a good point here with Bob Gibson, and I love Bob Gibson, and I didn't even consider him to be part of this conversation. He was one of my favorite players, and they did literally lower the mound because of Bob Gibson. He was just too dominant.
Hard to argue. Yeah. For now, I think we're going to keep pitchers off of it and almost have like a Mount Rushmore of pitchers just to keep this easy. Maybe next week we'll do a Mount Rushmore of pitchers. But I think for right now, Lou, if I had to go without putting too much further thought into it, I would say Ruth, Jackie, Cobb, and Teddy Ballgame.
Yep.
And I would leave off Mickey. Even though that would probably upset a lot of people. Yeah,
it would. And it's also, we're just totally ignoring modern baseball. And by modern, I mean, let's say since the mound was lowered in 1968.
Yeah, I mean, and the reality of it is, as great as, I mean, Pete Rose is a great ball player, but he's not making my Mount Rushmore. That's for sure.
Right.
He had Pete Rose is a great ball player, but I more think of him as someone who did it for a long period of time and hit 300, but didn't dominate the game. Just
Still brings up Willie Mays. We haven't even discussed Willie Mays. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We haven't discussed Willie Mays. We haven't discussed Hank Aaron. And even though I know he was tiny in stature, with his accomplishments, especially at a time in the game where there was no Johnny Bench, how do you ignore Yogi Berra? What he did for the Yankees, and instrumental with, being a catcher, hitting for as much prowess as he did.
We're falling into the baseball trap. And the baseball trap, the big narrative is that the game hasn't changed, and the game has changed. You have to treat the eras differently. You really do.
Oh, I mean, listen, how could you argue that Mike Trout shouldn't be, right, already one of the greatest?
Yeah.
But yet, in my own mind, I can't discuss it. And I think an easier way for me to discuss it, for example, is doing batters versus pitchers, but also cutting off, like, let's just say, after 1979 or after 1989.
Monty goes, Chiro. That's interesting. That's an interesting choice.
Well, for modern, that would be great. Well, let's do 4 after 1980. This is fun because this wasn't even on my agenda for today.
I get in trouble here in Boston because I've said this on multiple occasions that David Ortiz is more important to the Red Sox organization than Ted Williams was. If I were going to do a Mount Rushmore of the Red Sox organization, David Ortiz would be the first guy on the list. And that gets me in a lot of trouble because people discount modern ball players. And, Mike Trout is a terrific athlete. Trout is one of the greatest players of all time. He works on the West Coast. He's not a personality. They don't win championships, so he's kind of lost in it. And, of course, his injuries have caught up to him now. But there are some great players in the game now that compare favorably to some of the greatest players of all time.
Oh, most definitely. But to keep it easy, rattling off, and this is no particular order, let's just say after 1980 or maybe even 89, but call it 1980. I'm definitely going Trouty. I'm definitely going Griffey.
Yeah.
I loved Ricky. And by the way, non-pitchers, so we're not going any pitchers.
Yep.
And then I guess I have to take a step back and say, are you going to include a Barry Bonds? Are you going to go Ichiro?
Yeah. It's tough because you have to determine your criteria too, because
Trout, all of a sudden steroids and
yeah. No, just what are we looking for? Are we looking for stories, or are we looking for
not stories?
Players,
best players, dominance.
Albert Pujols has to be on that list somewhere. I mean, totally underrated. One of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time.
Insane.
Yeah. And he just played so poorly for so long, and he's outlasted his career for so long. People tend to diminish him. But he
I agree with you, Lou. I feel like when he officially retires, there's going to be a renewed interest.
Yeah. But
I agree with Bill.
One of the best right-handed hitters we've ever seen.
Bill's talking dead ball, pre and post war, and then modern. Hard to argue that.
Yep.
This would make for great bar discussions on a Thursday night.
Yeah, and this is the beauty of baseball, is that there are no answers to this.
I know. That's what I mean. It's so great. There's no right or wrong. You just do it.
Nolan Ryan, yeah. I mean, God, he was terrific, and 7 no-hitters. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, listen, we have Ryan on our pitchers list, but the pitchers
I'm sorry.
list
I'm sorry. I think Mark's brought it up twice. Derek Jeter is not in the neighborhood of this conversation.
No, I was trying to be respectful. I love Jeets and, Yankee fan, but he's not in the conversation.
Yep.
Out of the 4 that Chris just wrote, Ripken, Randy, Griffey, and Thomas. I don't agree with Frank Thomas, even though he was great. I definitely agree with Griffey. Randy was great, but that's for a pitcher list.
Yep.
And then Ripken, I'm not going to include Ripken just because he had a streak. I'm sorry. And he was a great ball player, but I'm not including him in the 4.
Yeah, no.
For me, Lou, what do you think?
Not a Mount Rushmore, no. No, Ripken isn't.
There you go.
Yeah.
So while we have a minute, I wanted to talk about something interesting. We just got this back from PSA. Before I forget, today's show is sponsored by Vintage Brakes and Just Collect. We're going to give away a $50 brake credit to vintagebrakes.com. If you spend it before May 15th, all of those entries will be eligible for our big event ending on May 15th. We're giving away thousands in prizes. So I want to show this off here. So recently got this back from PSA. This is from a collection we bought a while ago. The Ted Williams was in the same collection.
Let me add that to the stream here.
Sure. This is a 39 play ball DiMaggio. It graded a 5, but obviously there's an MK. It's got the date stamped right there, and I think it's got JR right there. Maybe JR owned the collection. But I want to talk about just an interesting aspect of grading, Lou. In the past, I may have sent this to SGC because SGC doesn't have a qualifier. So for argument's sake, I bet you SGC would put this in like a 2. I doubt a 3, but between a 2 and a 3. Okay, and neither's really wrong. This is just a 5 with an MK qualifier, meaning it's marked. But what I found in terms of resale, and this is important for what's up, Cody? Hope all is well, bud. As far as resale, and you're getting a card graded with the sheer intention to resell it for the most possible.
Yep.
I believe that people will pay more money for the same card, this DiMaggio, and a PSA 5, i.e. a higher number, even though it has a qualifier, Lou, as opposed to a lower number that has no qualifier, meaning like with SGC.
Right.
Let's just say it got a 2 or a 3. So that's the reason why I graded it with PSA. I think it does look accurately graded because, to me, it's like a solid 5, 5.5 looking card. Obviously, you can't take away from the fact that it's marked. What's up, Ken? Hope all is well, Greg. But I just wanted to share with everyone this fine example of a 39 play ball DiMaggio I just got back.
All right, let me ask the question. Let me put some scenarios in front of you here. SCG grading, PSA grading, same grade, no qualifiers. Does one sell for more than the other?
Sorry, Lou, say that again?
Same grade, SCG and PSA, no qualifiers. They're both 5s, for example.
Sure.
Same card. Does it sell more with the PSA grade, or does it sell more with the SCG grade? Or
SGC, yeah. It'll typically sell for more with PSA.
Yeah.
Not all the time. A lot of times it can be equal. In some cases, it can be marginally more for SGC. I think SGC's closed the gap. What's up, Todd? Closed the gap in many cases as far as vintage. As far as high grade goes, I definitely think that it's more PSA. But for like a mid-grade DiMaggio, I wouldn't be shocked if they sold for similar. But if you said to me, one, you have to pick one, then I'd pick PSA.
Yeah. But then if we get into different grades, obviously that changes a little bit. If the two companies come back with different grades.
Exactly. Yeah. So now this is an autographed item. I'm going to keep up the screen for a moment here. I'm very excited this afternoon. We're going to be going live with our first ever Vintage Breaks memorabilia hit random. So it's a memorabilia break. I believe there's 100 spots. We'll give you more details this afternoon. This is just one of the items. This is just one of the hits. So check this out. This is a Sandy Koufax Perez Steel signed. It's like a turkey red style, which is really cool. Sandy Koufax. It's already slabbed by SGC. And this is just one of the 100 pieces of memorabilia. It's all baseball memorabilia, Lou.
Okay.
Every single piece is signed and authenticated. And we'll reveal more of the hits later this afternoon, but look for that break appearing live on our website, vintagebreaks.com, later today.
All right. Memorabilia break. That's exciting.
Yeah, baseball memorabilia break. We're going to do some other memorabilia breaks as well, but we really think that our community is going to love it.
James says the set registry drives the PSA price higher. That's a good point.
Yeah, very much so. Especially on the on the issue, if it's specific to people wanting high grades and registering on PSA, then you bet your bottom dollar PSA will be the place to be. I have one more card to show off. I don't know if I'd show this off when I first acquired it. I think I have 2 of these. But big fan of Wander and what he might do for baseball, what he might do for the Rays. Obviously, I hope he doesn't do it against the Yankees. But I always found the exquisite brand from Upper Deck. It's very high end. Certainly basketball is its highest end. Football is great. However, in recent years, they've really done it through their Goodwin collection and Goodwin Champions. And this is no exception. So this is a card you could have pulled out of 2020 Goodwin Champions. Not an easy pull, I believe. But this is a exquisite rookie autograph of Wander Franco, numbered to 99. Game used piece of jersey, signed and numbered. And this is something I'll hang on to, Lou, for a little bit to see as his career develops.
Yep. Yeah, really high ceiling on Wander.
Yeah. So that's the deal with the few cards I wanted to show off. While we have a few minutes left in our show today, I wanted to encourage everyone to check out our site at vintagebreaks.com. We have nearly 300 breaks available. We'll be breaking today starting at about 2 o'clock Eastern time till 9:30 Eastern time here from Vintage Breaks North.
Yep.
And we'll switch over to Sir Charles and Vintage Breaks South at about 9:30. Very excited for our new office. We're going to welcome everyone to our grand opening as soon as we have that timeline established.
Tell everybody how they can get involved in the memorabilia break, because there's a lot of good reaction for it.
Sure. So we'll make an announcement live on air when it goes live later today. It'll be available at vintagebreaks.com, where you'll be able to buy one spot. You'll be able to buy spots. If you buy one spot, that'll be the equivalent of one random piece of memorabilia. If you buy 2 spots, you'll get 2 random pieces of baseball memorabilia. But the entire list will be there for you to peruse on our site. And once the break sells out, meaning all 100 spots, we will then random it off and give away all 100 pieces of baseball memorabilia to our community.
Oh, everyone's jacked for this. This should be good.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a long time coming. And, we don't want to just create it and, throw stuff against the wall. We wanted to do it with some thought. And we also wanted to be able to do it more than once. So we wanted to try to come up with a formula that we thought would work, moving forward.
Any other pieces that stand out to you in that break?
Yes, but they'll have to stay tuned to find out.
Oh, I see. Yeah. How old is the oldest piece in the break? Sean asks.
Have to stay tuned
Have
to find
stay
out.
tuned and find out. That's right.
Exactly.
Just stay tuned.
Yep. Like a good old radio station promotion, Lou.
I like it. Tease. Big market radio tease.
We just took one of the items, and the Sandy Koufax is no slouch.
Not at all. So there's going to be some great stuff in there. And there's, like I said, everyone just latched onto that idea. So it's going to be great.
Great. Well, let's take the last 5 minutes because I think we had something with a nice discussion with our, our Mount Rushmore earlier. So, Lou, what I'm thinking is, if you're up for this,
Yep.
Why don't you publish on our Leighton's Facebook page, Leighton's Law Facebook page, after today's show?
Yep.
We post it. Basically, put down what yours is and mine is. With the stipulation, we'll be discussing pitchers next week. For now, we're not separating eras, although we would continue to be open to that in the future.
Okay.
But
So,
my 4 for baseball, Lou, and your 4.
okay. Have I got your 4?
Well, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Oh, we're going to do it live here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I pretty much know what I think my 4 are going to be because it's definitely Ruth and Jackie. There's no way I can admit them. It's impossible.
Right.
Now,
is this baseball Mount Rushmore or a collecting Mount Rushmore? Or
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I would define this. It could be a little bit of everything, right? Because if it was story and collecting, well, then I might elevate Shoeless Joe.
Yeah.
And I think Shoeless Joe is great. Am I going to put Shoeless Joe ahead of Cobb and Ted Williams? Like, I feel like he lost by a hair.
Yeah.
But if you were talking about stories and stuff, that's different.
Yeah, it really is. So Ruth and Jackie.
Yes, and you might say, right, Jackie only played 9 years. So believe me, if I was talking to my father right now, he would tell me, well, Jackie didn't play long enough.
Well, that was my thing with Koufax. When you brought up Koufax, that was my first impulse.
Let's save Koufax for the pitcher discussion because we got a big mess going on right now.
Yeah, we got a big mess going on.
We got a big sandbox and it's getting messy.
So Ted's going to be my 3rd. I got to go with Ted.
And if you go with Ted, then I have to go with Cobby also. So it's Ty Cobb, Teddy, Babe Ruth, and Jackie.
Okay, so I got to come up with a 4th.
That's my 4.
Yeah. I am really reluctant to leave out the quote-unquote modern era, so I might go Ricky Henderson here. I got to be honest with you.
Well, I prefer you to be honest. That's what we're looking for.
Yep. I reserve the right to change my mind
You
before.
don't have to decide today. You could decide when you post.
Yeah, I reserve the right to change my mind as I post this, but Ricky might be my 4th guy.
I'd like to hear everyone else's too. It'll be fun to discuss for next week.
Yep. So save your discussions and we'll put it on the put it on the Leighton's Loft Facebook page. Go find that and we'll have the comments and we'll see what we can come up with. Maybe we put up a poll too. Maybe we put up a little poll, see what happens.
I like that.
Yep.
Also, folks, stay tuned for for Trading Card Therapy 25th episode tomorrow. I believe it's going to be 12:30 Eastern time. So stay tuned for that as well. And of course, later today, in just a few hours, our first ever iconic baseball memorabilia break be live at vintagebreaks.com.
I'm so excited. I want to see the list. I just want to go through all 100 items and see what's there.
For not being the top hit, this is a great, great item.
Oh, wait a second. So I didn't catch that before. This is not the top hit.
No, this is just one of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that'll be interesting to see what the top hit actually is.
It sounds like after Lou checks it out, there might only be 99 spots left.
There might be.
That's cool. Well, listen, we appreciate everyone tuning in today to Leighton's Loft right here on the Vintage Breaks Network. Special shout out to my friend Jason from Otia, Mark from Bleecker, and the rest of the gang out there in the hobby. Hope you're having a great week. That we see you tomorrow for trading card therapy, and stay tuned, of course, for Vintage Breaks. We'll be live streaming from approximately now till about 9:30 Eastern time tonight, and then, of course, Sir Charles and Vintage Breaks West takes over. Thanks, everybody.